Okay, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to Easy Markets Daily Pitch International with me, Darius, because today is the 9th of October, 2023. So, yeah, welcome, everyone. Welcome to this Monday's morning session where we're going to have a very quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendations and should not be considered as such. This material should not be taken as an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. Look, I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest. I'll disappear from that little left corner and I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so now then, also just before we jump into the charts, the usual, just a quick mentioning of our Easy Markets website, which you can always check out for more information about us. So, yep, feel free to visit us here at easymarkets.com. So, guys, let's jump into the charts. We do have a relatively busy week this week. So, yes, we had a good one last week. We got some, yeah, in the NFL, of course, the main event was the NFP number, which came out like crazy high. So yeah, and just before we go, and I talked about this with you guys, and I said to you, look, with whenever it comes to the NFPs, and that week when we have the NFPs, we also get the ADP number. So you know, you should not gauge because ADP came out. You should not gauge ADP to NFP. Because ADP came out much lower, and this is what I kept on saying, that look, it might be, you know, totally opposite. So, and this is what we got. We got the totally different number. So anyway, I'll get to that in a bit, like I said, with when I'll pick up on Dow and the US and other US indices. But first of all, coming back to Nikkei, look, what I want to do here is I want to remove everything and start fresh. Now, what can we see here? We can see that we had a nice, beautiful decline, and we fell below all of my EMAs at one point, and then we kind of climbed back and stayed above that 200-day EMA. So, in a way, I would say that there is a chance for this one to push back up, but we need to be very careful because maybe we're actually going to just push towards the 100 and the 50-day EMA, so something like this, right? Let me just adjust this very quickly. There we go. But I think that in my case here, what I would like to see here in order for me to go higher, I would like to see a push above, somewhere above this little barrier right here. So this 31,243, roughly, or even better, maybe the push above the Friday's high near the 31,418, just for that extra confirmation. Now, if another thing here for the upside could help is a break of this downside line, this short-term tentative resistance line drawn from the high of the 15th of September. So in a way, that would be that, like, just for extra confirmation, I would say. And maybe, like I said, yes, then we would also break this 31,418 zone. Now, in terms of the downside, I will take a very conservative approach and probably wait for a drop somewhere below this territory, below that 30,293, and then, yes, I will go from there lower because a forthcoming lower low will be confirmed, and we could then target areas like something like around here near the 29,378. Of course, don't get me wrong, we are also looking at that psychological 30,000 mark, but you know, actually we did kind of violate it last week very easily, so it didn't really carry much significance. So that's why I'm probably focusing more on other levels. So yeah, that's the situation with the Nikkei in general. With Japan, we don't have much data coming out from Japan, apart from a few sets like where is that? Where is that? I think the Tankan index is coming out on Wednesday. Yes, Reuters Tankan index. So we'll see how that one comes out. Then there's some machinery orders. PPI figures are coming out on Thursday from Japan, and on Friday I think is just foreign investments in Japanese stocks and stuff like that. So money supply. Yeah, so not maybe the most exciting data from Japan, but still something to be watched. Just bear with me one moment. I'll disappear here for a little bit. I need to kind of clear up my throat a little bit. Okay, guys. So yeah, sorry for that. It's an early morning for me, so yeah. Um, Anyway, let's oh, by the way, before I go further, as always, I need to quickly put something into the chat room. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody's having a wonderful start of Monday. So, China 50 index, similar story. I want to remove actually all drawings here. I'll bring some levels back as well, but at this point, I think, yeah, I need to. Hmm. You know what? If I'm gonna start bringing some of the levels back, then actually there's no point in removing everything. So, look, I think that at this point, this is what's interesting, that we're still trading below this upside line. So we kind of pierced it through here on, but these are the futures. But in general, we're still remaining below this upside line. We kind of climbed back above this key support zone, the previous lowest point of this year, near the 12,204 zone. So we did create a new low for this year, but we somehow reversed back to the upside. Okay, look, at the moment, what I want to say is that if you're looking for some downside, I think that the easier option is again to keep your eyes on the previous lowest point of this year, which is the lowest point of June, near the 12,200 zone. And then if we clear that one, then yes, I will start aiming lower again. For the upside, I would like to see a push above the downside line here, drawn from the high of the 1st of August. And yes, if we do clear this, this downside line, then yes, more buyers could join in. We could potentially aim for this 12,721 zone, somewhere around here, or maybe this 200-day EMA, and so on and so on. But look, we'll get to that point if we do see a clearance of this downside line. This is my barrier for the upside. If we clear it, great, I'll go higher. ASX 200. So a beautiful push here on the futures, but okay, we remained above this downside line drawn from the high of the 15th of September. So these are the futures, and in a way, this is, I think that this is the weekend candle here. So look, the fact that we're now trading above this downside line, that's of course is a little bit of a positive sign. And at the moment, I would say I'm going to be leaning a little bit more towards the upside, just because on Friday, for example, we saw some crazy activity which pushed the index higher, and I mean the futures of this index higher, because the US on Friday, not yesterday, on Friday, were exploding after the NFP number. I mean, initially they fell, but then it turned around very quickly, and yeah, it was just a one-way traffic rally. I mean, it was beautiful, of course, but you know, it faded away a little bit, but that's fine. It's fine. But if this is gonna pick up again, if the bulls are gonna jump in again, then well, we could expect other indices like Australian index also pushing nicely to the upside. So for now, long story short, as long as we remain above this downside line, this is from the technical side, I will continue targeting the upside. Look, on Thursday, for example, from Australia, we do have the MI inflation expectations coming out. So in general, this week is a little bit of a inflation week, and we do also have the Wednesday, the Westpac consumer sentiment. That's from Australia, and the building approvals, NAB business survey and confidence, that's coming out on Tuesday, tomorrow. Today we didn't have much, so you know, all today in general is not going to be the most maybe eventful day in terms of economic data, but certainly we will be keeping a close eye on geopolitical tensions and the prices of commodities, because this is something that you probably you know, need to think of right now. But anyway, so yeah, that's the situation here with ASX 200. For the downside, I need to see a drop back below this 6,933 zone in order to go lower. So the Dow, beautiful move on Friday. Look at this beautiful thing. Honestly, traveled nicely to the upside. Broke, you know, this downside line. I talked about this last week with you guys, and I said to you that if we do clear this downside line, great. This downside line is drawn from the high of the let me just grab it. There we go. This one, the high of the 15th of September. Yes, we cleared it, we stayed above it, and now the question is, can we go higher? Well, look, my target here, this 33,450 zone, I talked about this one last week, and I said to you that in order for me to go higher, not only that I need to see a break of this downside line, but also push above this barrier. Well, if we can get that, and if we can stay above that barrier as well, then yes, I'm leaning a little bit more towards the upside. My next target will be somewhere around this 33,800 mark. Look, we did violate it. Actually, you know what? Let me rephrase that, because I think we need to redraw this. This is a new week, and I think some of the old levels might not work. So you know what? I think that, yeah, maybe this would be a little bit more ideal. 33,750 zone, that's going to be my next target if we do pop above the 33,450 level. And then, yes, and then we'll take it from there. Maybe this will be a nice, good, strong barrier of resistance. We'll see. But we'll go slowly on that. In terms of the downside, I would like to see a drop below the 33,067 territory. And if we do get that drop, then yes, great, more sellers could join in, and we could go for that 32,740 zone, and then we'll just take it from there. So basically, a nice drop below this territory could attract a few more sellers into the game. These are the lows of last week, or should I say, specifically this 33,021 zone is the lowest point of last week here on the Dow futures. And yeah, if we do get a clearance of that, this will confirm a forthcoming lower low and potentially could attract more sellers into the game. So let's keep an eye on that one. The S&P 500. So also after that NFP number, it exploded to the upside. Look, I've talked about this, and I said to you that last week specifically, I mentioned that if we do break this downside line drawn from the high of the 15th of September, then yes, I'll aim higher. I'll get more comfortable with the upside if we do also push above the 200-day EMA. We did push, and my next target then was the 4,357 tick. And then I said that if we do clear this one, then yes, I'll go further north. But we didn't clear it. We stopped here, and you can see that we kind of retraced back down a little bit here. So I think that it's kind of mainly because of the tensions right now in Israel and Palestine. So yes, the moment I would say it's a tricky one here, and if we do push again above this 200-day EMA, great. I'll start slowly aiming for the upside. For the downside, well, previously I talked about this 4,242, so 42 territory. If we drop below it and clear it, then yes, great, I will go lower. What's this doing here? Why is it like that? Normal. There we go. So yes, so yeah, at the moment, guys, I'm like I said, I'm kind of cautiously leaning towards the upside on this one, but of course, I'll be very careful. Look, on Friday we kick off the earnings season as well, something that you need to keep a close eye on. So yes, the earnings season is starting on Friday. With companies like, let me just quickly bring it up, with companies like no, sorry, on Thursday. Thursday will no, ignore. Tuesday, the first company that releases its earnings, I'm talking about the big boys, the top dogs, the PepsiCo company. So that's coming out on Tuesday, and then Thursday we'll have like companies like Delta Airlines, Walgreens, and Domino's Pizza. And on Friday, we have the financial institutions like JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, BlackRock, Citigroup, PNC Financial. So yeah, and also not the financial company, but the United Health is coming out. So yes, and then next week is just full. So next week we could see some good volatility in general during those earnings releases. So yeah, like I said, guys, this is my game plan for the S&P. Let's wait and see. And of course, this week, as I already mentioned in my headline, heading there is the NF. Oh, sorry, I wanted to say the NFP, the CPI week. So we do get a bunch of CPIs across different countries, but of course, everybody will be watching the US one, which is coming out on Thursday. And yes, on Thursday we do get the number, the headline, the core, both year on year and month on month. So at the moment, for example, the headline CPI, and the year on year one is expected to decline a little bit. The same story is with the month on month. Okay, that's going to be interesting to see. If the year on year one is expected to decline from 3.7 to 3.6. Okay, that will be interesting, because if it does come out even lower, then everybody's watching this. Everybody's watching this then, because again, this percentage might go even higher if the inflation number goes to the downside, even below the forecast, because they will say that nobody's expecting to have a rate hike in November. And the 1st of November, maybe it will shift more towards this 13th of December. This is what we are looking at, this column here in the middle. But again, look, let's not rush into things. Let's wait for that number to come out, and yes, expect some nice movement, potential nice movement in indices and the US dollar, and yeah, we'll go from there. NASDAQ 100. So yes, of course, we are keeping an eye on those earnings as well. A lot of NASDAQ components are delivering, but sorry, maybe not much, but yes, a few. Look, in general, I think that this will be subject to just the broader market sentiment, and the moment everything's looking quite positive, to be honest. Well, as long as we remain, as I said to you last week, as long as we remain above the 14,955 territory right here, I'll aim a little bit more towards the upside. Suzanne Walter, 8973. Hi, good morning. How are you? In general? How are you? How was your weekend? Tell me. I hope you're all feeling nice and refreshed after the weekend and ready to hit the markets and try to squeeze something out of it. But look, I hope everybody else had a beautiful weekend. Honestly, You know, the most important that you maybe managed to kind of chill somehow at least, or if you didn't, uh, well, then you have to. This is my order to you. You have to chill. You have to chill. You have to relax. So you know, please follow the order. Yeah. Look, Nasdaq 100. So again, in terms of the downside, even if it falls back below this 100-day EMA, all this area right here will be somewhat of a neutral one for me, because what I would like to see here is a drop below the 14,600 zone in order to go lower, because a forthcoming lower low then will be confirmed. The German index, DAX. Again, also a nice, beautiful pop on the futures here on Friday. And most importantly, we are now trading above that 15,265 territory. I talked about this. I said to you that if we do climb back and stay above it, then yes, I'll consider a move maybe back towards that 200-day EMA or this 15,511 zone. So yes, I have to say that as long as we remain above this hurdle, then yes, I will continue targeting the upside. But if we start falling below it, I know it's a very, very close call here, but if we start falling back below it, then yes, certainly there is a chance for us to see maybe some lower levels. But if we do break this this upside line, then if we do break this upside line, then yes, potentially could attract more sellers into the game. We could aim for that 15,066 territory, a break of which would confirm a forthcoming lower low, guys. So, oh, my back is killing me a little bit. Right, the FTSE 100. So similar story. Look, I mean, there's not much to say, actually. It's kind of all similar in a way. So we managed to climb back above this 7,520 zone. I said to you before that if we do push back and stay below this, another decline here could be possible. But if we do climb it above it, then my next target is the 7,600 zone right there, and then we'll take it from there. If we do clear this 7,600 territory, then yes, potentially more buyers could join in. But I think that, look, I'm drawing this new. I need to remove this one. I need to keep that one. I think that if I see a break of this downside line drawn from the high of the 21st of September, then yes, potentially more buyers could join in, and we could see a nice move towards the upside here, and then we will just take it from there. In terms of the downside, I would like to see a drop back below the 7,520 territory right here in order to consider maybe a move back down towards that 7,433 zone, or ideally the 7,400 zone right there. So at this point, it's also a very quick, close call. So yes, in a way, I'm leaning a little bit more towards the upside in the short run. But again, this move higher could still be classed as a temporary correction before another possible leg of selling just because of this downside line. But if this downside line gets cleared, then yes, I will go higher. US dollar index. This one is, interesting. It broke below this upside line finally. Now, my question is here, can we see some more downside? Well, for that, I need to wait for a drop below the 105.87 territory right here. And if I get that, great, more sellers could join in, and we could then see a drop, or let's say, you know, if we see a drop below this hurdle, this 105.87, then of course I'll keep an eye on the 105.71 zone, which I just drawn here. It was a good area of support as well. And then of course, yeah, we could start aiming for that 50-day EMA here, shown as the red line. For the upside, I need to see a push back above the 106.54 territory in order to go to the upside. Gold, there we go. Well, guess what? Gold, it finally acted as a safe haven, and you just need a bit of global tensions in order to drive this one, right? So this is what we're getting. Look at the gap. Look at this gap. I mean, that's insane. And what can I say here? I mean, look, in terms of this this Fibonacci, first of all, I think I need to draw it this way. That's more reasonable. And it kind of worked out. We did kind of break this barrier here. I said to you on Friday, if we do pop above this 1829 territory and stay above it, I'll lean towards the upside, maybe towards that 1846. And look how well this acted. I mean, this 1846 territory, I mean, this is just wonderful. We are continuing to trade nicely above this hurdle. So in a way, I would say that if we are looking for some higher levels, my next target is around here, near this 1858 zone. Slightly above it, we do have my redrawn Fibonacci, where I'm capturing the Friday's low, basically. So my redrawn Fibonacci, and it's 38.2% retracement here. So that could be the next target. So in general, I would say as long as we remain above the 1846 zone, yes, I will target slightly higher levels, like for example this 1858 or the 38.2% retracement on the Fibonacci. Silver also beautiful pop. So I talked about this as well. I said to you, if we do climb back above this highlighted zone here, the lower one, then my next target is the another highlighted zone, the upper one. So basically, if we do pop back above the somewhere above this 21.47 territory, my next target is the 22.11, 22 levels. So 22.11 and 22.22. So that's going to be these are going to be my next targets for now. Yes, that's what I'm going to stick to. Simple. For the downside, well, this is where I can redraw actually my arrow. And if we do fall back below this 21.30 zone, I will consider a move lower. Copper. I wanted to say CPR. Copper. Yes, it's CPR USD on our platform. So yes, check out that one. Look, I've mentioned this commodity as well. I said to you that if we do climb back above this 3.62 territory, then yes, I will consider a bit of a move higher towards maybe this 3.71. Although I don't really like this level much, but I'm gonna keep it on the chart for now because I also want to keep this one, the 3.7273 zone, approximately around here near this this 50-day EMA shown here as the red line. So this is going to be my next target as long as we remain above the 3.63 zone. If we start falling below this territory right here, below this 3.5450, then yes, this is from where I will go a little bit lower because a forthcoming lower low will be confirmed. Oil, well, obviously, like I said, you give us some tensions and global tensions, then you give us higher oil. Or should I say, you give us global tensions, you get higher oil. There we go. That's, I think, that's a little bit better. So this upside line needs to go. No longer needed. This Fibonacci, I think it's time to leave it because, look, in a way, it kind of worked. It kind of didn't. So partially. So I would say let's focus on something else. So what worked here is this 81.74 territory right here, marked by the inside swing high of the 21st of August. And yes, we got a nice hold up, and we got a retracement. Now, what's interesting here is that we did stay below this downside line, the steep downside resistance line drawn from the high of the 28th of September. If we do break this downside line, then yes, my next target is the 88 territory, and then yeah, we'll go from there. If we do clear that 88 zone again, I will climb higher, but at the moment I need to see a clearance of this downside line in order to go to the upside. For the downside, a drop below the 81.74 territory here is required. So, yeah, look, that's my game plan for now. Let's wait and see. And to be honest, I'm kind of leaning more towards the upside right now, just because of what's happening around the world right now. So yeah, in order for me to go higher, I need to see, yes, from the technical perspective, I need to see a break of this downside line. But kind of something is hinting that we could still, push a little bit north. And what's pushing north is something that I've mentioned last week, before last week, a month ago, and I kept on talking about this range. I said to you guys that, hey, keep your eyes on the upper side of the range and look at this beautiful thing. We are now approaching my target, the 3.52 territory, and to be honest, at this point, I would say actually mission accomplished, because It's never the exact level. Okay, look, if it's going to test it, great. But we're seeing some kind of a hold up. We already had a good run. So basically, we kind of took around what 85% maybe of this idea. So that's absolutely fine. So we can just grab our profits, enjoy it, and if you want to keep it running, yes, okay, you can do that. But just maybe also enjoy your profits as well. So don't kind of or maybe you can, let's say, keep take part of your profits and again keep the remaining position running. So something like that could be nice, but again, it's up to you guys. You know yourselves better. You know your trading styles and strategies. So yeah, I mean, we do have a good barrier right here. This in general, I'm looking at this new one right, which I just put the 3 point actually 60. We can round it up here a little bit. So good potential target. Let's keep an eye on it. So, but at this point, given that we already had this strong up move, I would say that be a little bit more on the careful side. Maybe a bit of a retracement could be possible here, but it's like I said, it's an interesting one at this point. In order to go lower, I think that the drop back below the psychological three level, or which is the upper side of this range, is needed. Cotton, something. It's basically. I mean, I've mentioned this last week as well, and look, I mean, it has the same scenario, potential scenario. I mean, you can see where I'm leaning with this, right? I mean, pop to the upside potentially, yeah, could be a good option. However, we did get these pops earlier. We failed to stay above this highlighted zone, above this upper side of this range. So in other words, I need to see a stronger push above this 89.32 zone, somewhere around here, and I would like to see the body of the daily candle staying above that area. If we get that, great, I will go to the upside, because at the moment, the commodity is forming higher lows, but is struggling with a higher high. And yeah, that's why I need to see a push above this territory in order to go to the upside. Sugar, something that you probably don't look at, but it's quite interesting as well. Look at this. It's pushing back up to the upside after rebounding from the 50-day EMA. So it had a good, nice retracement. That's absolutely fine. We tested the 50-day EMA. And so yeah, at the moment, I am kind of leaning a little bit more towards the upside. So, what I would like to see here, first of all, I want to remove everything. I want to start fresh. So first of all, yes, I can see that we rebounded from this 50-day EMA, which is absolutely fine. Now my question is, can we break above this downside line right here? If we can break that, yes, wonderful. More buyers could join in, something like this. But then we will target the this barrier right here, this 27.60 zone. If we can clear that one as well, well, guess what? A forthcoming higher high will be confirmed, potentially attracting more buyers into the game. So we are at a very interesting spot at this point. Let's see how this is going to play out. If you want to go lower on this, I think that the best option for now is to wait for a drop below the 50-day EMA and then go to the downside, because at this point it might bounce around here. So yeah, it's no good for me. Now let's jump into a few cryptos. Bitcoin, just a quick update. To be honest, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I've talked a lot about this one last week. So we did correct back down a little bit. We found support near the 100-day EMA. We rebounded, pushed higher. So that's why my upside scenario, I think that will be from around here still, from that 28,156 zone right there. If we can clear that, then yes, potentially more buyers could join in, and then I will need to just aim for some of these levels. As you can see, I'm redrawing a few just because I think that these are going to be more valid. So if we do pop above that 28,150 zone and stay above it, then yes, I'll go for that 28,550. If we clear that one, I will go further north, maybe even all the way towards that psychological 30,000 mark. Ripple. So yeah, so it's for now it's doing everything what I'm asking it to do, basically nothing. Why? Because look, I said to you that I will consider some downside if we do break this upside line. Did we get that? No. And if I'll consider more upside if we do a breakthrough, do get a breakthrough this highlighted zone right here, which is kind of roughly around that 0.55 territory. Did we get that? No. So that means I'm chilling. I'm just watching the price action and just waiting to see which side will it decide to break. Okay, so let's jump into Forex a little bit. So yes, we are drifting back down here. So this territory, the 1.0707, continues to provide good resistance. And yes, my next target right now, well, it has been reached again. So 1.0644, I've looked at this barrier before. Now, if we clear it, my next target is this 1.0608, and if that's not enough, then yes, my next target is the 1.0560 territory marked by the lowest point of May, and if I'm not mistaken, also the current lowest point of this year. Can we create a new low for this year? That's going to be interesting, because looking at some of the instruments, it seems like we are kind of now on the road of creating new lows for the year. And yeah, that's like I said, that's quite exciting at the same time. But of course, if you are in the stocks, let's say medium to long term, then maybe it's not really happening, anything good happening for you. But look, let's wait and see. For now, like I said, if you want to go to the upside on this one, a break at least of this downside line is required. I'm already not talking about this 1.0729 territory that I had marked here, but I think that maybe I'll have to change this highlighted zone. Yep, I think that I will have to get rid of this and maybe mark something else. So yeah. Again, let's for now, let's not rush into things. If we want to go to the upside, a break of this downside line is required. AUDCAD. AUDCAD is, yes, it's interesting at the same time. And you can see that the Canadian dollar is strengthening right now against the Australian dollar. That's, of course, understandable because of this little fella here, oil. And yeah, now my question is, can we go lower? But for me, for the downside, I need to see a drop below the 0.8625 territory right here in order to go to the downside. For the upside, a push above the 0.8745 territory here would be required. NZDCHF. NZDCHF is a beautiful one here because we tested that broken trend line, as I have mentioned to you before, that we do have that tendency to test the trend lines here with the broken trend lines from the other side. So yeah, and this is exactly what happened. So at the moment, this trend line is providing kind of good support. I said too that as long as we remain above this downside line, then yes, the upside scenario is still valid. So we could aim for that 0.5493 territory, and if we do clear that one, we might also clear the 200-day EMA and potentially could attract more buyers into the game. So let's not rush into things. If we do fall below this downside line, back below this downside line and this 100-day EMA, then yes, I will consider a move to the downside a little bit here. NZDJPY, beautiful push. In general, everything worked out perfectly. Look, I'm quite happy with this one because I said to you that if we do drop lower, then yes, I mean, we could test this upside line. If it provides good support, maybe a rebound here could be possible back to this 0.8970 territory. Tick, tick. Fantastic. What's next? Next is, of course, a break of this 89.70 territory. If that happens, of course, if it happens, great. We'll aim for the upside. But at the moment, while we remain inside here, below this barrier, but above this upside line, then yes, there is a chance to see some sideways action here. So that's why my downside scenario is on a break of this is from the break of this upside line, and then yeah, I'll go a little bit lower. CHF-JPY, just a quick one. Something that I do like to look at actually is this. Maybe it's a little bit on the exotic pair, but hey, if there is value, there is value. So the fact that we are now kind of breaking this downside resistance line, that is kind of giving me hope that more buyers could join in at some point, especially if we do, let's say, go above that 164 territory and stay above it. If we do that, then yes, I will go further to the upside, and there is a chance for this happening just because I think that people started jumping into it's kind of risk. We're back to risk on environment. It seems like that. And everybody's starting to buy stocks, and so not a lot of people are going into something like currency safe havens. Gold is a little bit of a different story, but that one I think is more reacting also maybe okay, yeah, to the political tensions and to the weaker dollar. So yeah, that's why at the moment I think that even this can go a little bit back to the upside. Okay, look, for now, I would say this way. As long as we push and stay above the 164 territory, I'll go to the upside. For the downside, I would like to see a drop below the 100-day EMA, not to mention this downside line only, but also below the, something's itchy on my hand here. If we do fall back below the 100-day EMA, then yes, I will consider a move towards the 160 zone again. USDJPY, USDJPY. So yes, if we do fall back below this 148.46 territory, then yes, I will go to the to the downside. This is pretty straightforward for me. For the upside, I need to see a push over the 150.16 zone right here. So that's my, like I said, game plan for USDJPY. Yes, the US dollar is a little bit on the weaker side right now, but I think somehow the Japanese yen is still the weaker one. But again, look, that's why I'm going to allow this pair for some maneuvering in this territory. I'm not going to touch it. But if once it starts getting closer to one of my barriers here, then yes, I will then consider the next short-term directional move. USDCAD. So yes, of course, we are watching oil, and we're seeing oil declining. We are seeing Canadian dollar picking up strength against most of its major counterparts, US dollar inclusive. And yeah, we fell back below this downside line, so everything's working out nicely here. I said to you that if we do fall and stay below this downside line, I'm gonna aim for that 1.3640 zone, tick, and then if that gets cleared, my next target is the 1.3575 territory. Not tick yet, but hopefully. If by any chance we climb back above this territory, back above the this 1.3695 territory, then yes, more buyers here could join in. GBPUSD. So yes, weaker dollar, stronger GBPUSD. Yes, we pushed back up, but we climbed back above this highlighted zone. Look, I don't have a clear level here. I kind of have a zone. If by any chance we somehow stay above this highlighted zone, then yes, I will consider a larger correction still to the upside towards the this downside resistance line. At the moment, like I said, yes, that's my game plan. If we do drop below the 1.2110 territory right here, that's from where I will get more comfortable with lower levels. GBPJPY, also a very interesting spot right now. The 50-day EMA is providing good resistance. We're seeing a good hold up here. Yes, and of course, this barrier here, this 183 did work well, so I will continue keeping an eye on it. If we do clear that one, then yes, potentially more buyers here could join in. We have this downside line as well, drawn from the high of the 22nd of August. If we want to go lower, I would say drop below the 180.81 zone right here might do the trick for a few more sellers. So while we remain in this territory, I'm just observing the price action and not really doing much. Once it starts once it starts clearing one of my areas here, then yes, that's from where I will go and get more comfortable with the next short-term directional move. Yeah, so that's like I said, that's the simplistic approach here on GBPJPY. We do have this downside line, of course, which is kind of somehow doing a good job for now, but look, maybe it's not going to eventually hold. It's a very tentative downside line, so don't really focus on it too much. EURNZD. EURNZD is it's interesting. It's interesting. Why? Because look, I talked about this falling channel previously. I said to you that if we do rebound from the crossroads of the lower side of this falling channel and this upside support line drawn from the low the 13th of December of last year, then yes, it would be nice to see, you know, like a rebound here back to the upper side of the falling channel. But then we came and we cleared the lower side of this falling channel and this upside line. Okay, that's fine. We went lower. We traveled towards my other upside support line here, which I need to extend a little bit here. This one is also a little bit on the tentative side, but hey, let's keep it for now on the chart. This one's drawn from the low of the 12th of August of last year. And if we're looking for some lower levels, then actually everything's working out nicely so far here, because we are trading below the 200-day EMA, and if we do stay below that, then yes, I will continue targeting the downside, aiming potentially for this other upside line. For the upside on this pair, I need to see a push above the lower side of the falling channel. Look, I'm gonna still, although no longer, this falling channel is no longer valid, but these lines, these trend lines, are still kind of doing a good job, I think. So I think this lower side of the falling channel is acting as a good area of resistance. If that gets cleared, then yes, I will consider a move to the upside. EURJPY, we're back into the range, and look at this. I mean, I talked about this with you on Friday morning, and I said to you that if we do pop and stay back in, I mean, we do stay inside this 156.87 territory, then yes, push towards the upper side of this range here could be possible. Well, I think that it kind of got mission accomplished. It was mission accomplished, and yes, we're seeing a drift back down right now, but look, I will say it this way: while we remain inside this pattern now, I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to look at it. I'm just going to stare at it and wait for a violation of one of my levels here. So, for example, for the upside, I still need to see a push above this upper side of this range, this previous range, which is near the 158.53 zone. That's the upper side. For the downside, well, you can keep an eye. You can start looking at some lower levels if we do drop back below the 156.87. But then, yes, then we'll have to just be very careful with the 100-day EMA, or even, you know, or if that gets cleared, yes, we'll go lower. But at this point, just 100-day EMA, just that one, because it did provide good support recently, last week. And finally, EURUSD. So we're drifting back down. I think that the US dollar is trying to, you know, recover a little bit, which is fine. It's okay. But can we stay actually below this territory, below that 1.0558 zone? Okay, that's a good one. Let me just tidy up the chart a little bit. So I'm going to stick to this level for now. If we by any chance push back up, yes, a retest of this downside line drawn from the high of the 18th of July could be possible. And if this downside line, yes, provides resistance, another decline here, yeah, could be an opportunity here for the sellers. But if we start breaking the downside line and we push above the 1.0635 territory right here, potentially more buyers could join in, and we could start aiming for our EMAs, for my EMAs here on the daily chart, the 50 and the 200 together with the 100-day EMA right here. And then we'll just take it from there. So long story short, for now, I'm not leaning towards the downside unless we start dropping below the 1.0483 territory right here. If that happens, then yes, I will go lower. Then I'll aim for the 1.0448 right here. And if that gets cleared, a forthcoming lower low will be confirmed. And yes, potentially more sellers could join in. But at this point, guys, I would suggest to leave it. Let it walk a little bit. Let it settle. Get closer maybe to, you know, one of the levels that I just mentioned, and then we can take it from there. So guys, that's it for this session. I'll have to wrap it up here. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching this one till the end. I really appreciate that, guys. If you want to catch me tomorrow morning, as always, 6 o'clock GMT time. But for now, guys, look, we're entering a very interesting period right now. And well, actually, to be honest, it has been a very interesting period lately. So I would say at the moment, be just careful, watch your stop losses, have your stop losses, risk only what you can afford to lose. Don't overtrade and everything will be fine. So I really appreciate your time, guys, really do. Thank you for joining my webinar. And like I said, if you want to catch me tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock GMT time. For now, have a beautiful trading day and bye-bye. If you want to continue to please the trading gods, subscribe to our channel for a blessing.